I'm Krystal Kohlberg, and I am a mental performance coach with an expertise in human design.
What inspired you to become a mental performance coach?
I grew up being an athlete. I played softball from the time I was, I think, 7 or 8 to 18. And then I also played water polo and swam in high school. And I've kind of stayed an athlete throughout the years as an adult, but that's a little different. But yeah, so when I went to college, I started out, I didn't know what I wanted to do or be or study, so I picked psychology. And then a couple years in, I switched my degree to kinesiology, so like the study of human movement, which is basically just all sports people who went to college and were like, we need to study something. And so towards the end of my degree, I took a sport psychology class, and I was like, oh my gosh, this combines all of the psychology stuff that I've already learned with the sports stuff. And it's like the mental side of performance. I've never heard of this before. And I thought it was really cool. And I like had flashbacks of coaches yelling at us like, this is 90% mental, get your head in the game. And I'm like, wait, but we only ever practiced physical stuff. So you're
Right.
telling me like, and this is upon reflection as an adult, but I'm like, you only ever trained us physically, but then you're screaming at us that it's 90% mental. Like there's a disconnect there. And yeah, so I fell in love with sports psychology, and I realized how beneficial it would have been to have had it. And I just kept going from there.
Yeah, how does sport help you for the future for someone, taking the going from sports to business?
Yeah, it totally. In my master's program, we actually performance psychology, because we incorporated things besides sports like business or performing artists and stuff like that. And I think it's because the mental skills are universal. It's very much like goal setting and your mindset and how you talk to yourself and how do you communicate well, how do you manage stress, and like what are your habits and your routines. And it's just all of these things that I think most of us don't intentionally utilize, and it's trying to like bring those conscious and intentionally use them to get where you want to go, regardless of if it's as a parent or at business or in a sport.
So what is the main focus of a mental performance coach?
Yeah, so it's most of those things I just mentioned. It's getting your mindset right. It's setting goals appropriately. So often, I'll just use sports analogies for this. People are like, "Oh, I want to win." You're like, "Okay, cool. That's great. That's a great goal, but like what, so now that we know what the outcome down the road is, what are you going to do today towards that goal?" So it's about, again, being more intentional and I guess more process based than just like the dreaming vision. I think both are important, but you still have to have the steps to get there.
What is it like working with people?
It depends. I've worked with such a wide range. When I
Yeah.
first started out, I was working with like 6 and 7 year old soccer and softball players. And so with kids, it's more like playing games with them that try to like get these concepts across. With you're like, blindfold your teammate and try to direct them across an obstacle course. So you're working on communication skills, but it's a fun game. With adults, I've worked at like businesses. You're trying to, again, help with the goal setting. You're trying to help with communication and bridging some personality differences. Like maybe this is where some issues are coming up. You're also helping with people. I sat in sessions at a company with someone and just helped them rehearse for a presentation. So how are you going to manage your stress and anxiety of this presentation? And can you get in a couple of reps ahead of time and talk? How are you talking to yourself to prepare?
That is a big thing of I know I get super nervous with speaking in public.
Yeah, I think that's one of the top fears for people. So it is like, how are you going to manage that stress and leading up to it? Like, can you just practice?
Yeah, when you work with your clients, do you see their confidence level rise as they go through the process?
Yes. So again, I think a lot of that's about having repetition. And I don't know if it's because we're adults, but I feel like there's this thing like once you're adult, you're supposed to just know you're just supposed to know things, and what you know, you know. And so often people are like just looking at the final, whatever they're leading towards. And it's like, no, you still like learning a new instrument or learning a new sport or a new activity or whatever it is. Like, you need to have reps and practice these things. Mental skills are just like physical skills in that way, where you're not just like, you're going to be like Bambi at first, maybe, and you're probably going to default to your old habits, and it takes some time to figure things out. So of course, if they stick with it, their confidence rises over time as they get more comfortable with this new way of being or new way of doing things.
You said something earlier about in sports, you focus a lot on the physical, not in the mental. So, how important is to take care of both?
I mean, I believe both are very, very important. I think we are a whole person, and to neglect parts of ourselves is just, I mean, it's neglecting part of you. I think we do have a culture that's very focused on the physical, and it is important, but so is the mental. And it's like your brain gets you to do the physical things. So why not train it to do the way that you want, or to get you to the places you want to go?
How do you think people could achieve? I don't think it, not a perfect, but a good work life balance.
Yeah, for sure. I don't think perfection is ever a good goal.
Right.
Because it's one you just can't ever meet. But yeah, work-life balance. I know for me, it's been about two things. It's having priorities. So that comes with some self-awareness. Like, what is a priority to you? What fills your cup and what depletes you? And having an awareness of those two things so that you can try to minimize the depleting things and add in some of the things that fill your cup. And then having boundaries. So are some of those things going to be non-negotiables for you? You might have to set some boundaries in other areas of your life to make sure that those things happen or don't happen, depending on if they're the ones that fill your cup versus deplete you.
How does helping others help your own success?
Helping others help my own, it feels good. There's I mean, to be honest, like, that's a huge piece of it. And it feels purposeful. I imagine a lot of us, myself for sure, have had jobs that were just a job, and you just show up, you make the money, and it doesn't feel purposeful. And for me, that's depleting. So having a job that has a purpose and feels like it gives back is, I don't know, that's one of those things that fills my cup. So that does help me in that way. And yeah, I think it's like a giving back, and I feel fulfilling, like you're fulfilling some of your purpose is what comes to mind for me.
What do you do to help your own mental health?
Yeah. I definitely am guilty of pushing through way more than I should. I also think, though, having been in this, mental performance world, I was my own first client, right? I was learning all these things in classes and implementing them myself and trying them on and figuring it all out, and then teaching all these different people. So I came up with different ways. So it's been a journey for me also implementing these. And a lot of them are habitual, thankfully, at this point. And so I think, I hope that gives people hope, if it's hard at first, to like take a minute to breathe or meditate or whatever it is, that eventually it can become a habit. I have some of those skills. I actually was thinking about this the other day, where I used to set an alarm on my phone for like once an hour at my job to like, take a breath. It was like, take a minute, pause, breathe, like real good deep belly breaths. That takes a minute or two. It's not this huge pause, but it's enough to like reset and give yourself a little bit of a break and reoxygenate and bring the anxiety levels down. And now that's a habit for me. So I just do it throughout the day. I also know setting my morning up really sets my whole day on a good note. So I go for a walk in the morning. I get some sunshine. When the weather's nice enough, I like walk barefoot in the grass. I just take some time to not be on the screens and set my day up well. And that's been really helpful too.
Well, talking to you, I could hear the passion in your voice for what you do. So, where do you want to see your mission in the next 3 to 5 years?
I have a really big, I'm like, I have a big vision. I would love to bring, I would love to bring this to more corporate too. I want to help influence how people work. I know that we have more and more companies becoming more supportive of like the mental well-being of their employees. And I think for this, it's nice because I'm not a clinical psychologist. So I'm not there to like fix clinical problems. So it's like you get some of that mental well-being and intentionality without people feeling like, oh my God, this is a like psychologist. Like I'm a coach. I'm just a coach. I just want to help you be a little more intentional. So I'd love to bring these to corporate and see the workplace change a little bit. And then with like my free time, something I would always wanted to give back to is youth sport, because I feel like that would have made such a big difference for me. And I've seen it with the kids that I've worked with. Just I've had parents reach out to me 6, 7, 8 years later, be like, oh my gosh, they still use this, breathing technique you taught them when they were 7. And it's been so helpful now that they're a teenager playing way more competitive sports. And so I would just love to be able to give my time back in that area.
So, how can people reach out and learn more?
Yeah, I right now I'm really loving Substack. I am finding that I like long form written content rather than dancing videos. So people can, maybe that comes from writing a dissertation. I don't know. I thought I would hate writing after writing this 100-page paper, but I find that it's nice when I get to write about what I want to write about. So Substack is a great place to connect with me. And then my Instagram, which is more personal than professional, but it has all my links to everything else.
What is it like getting all your thoughts, feelings out on the page?
For Substack, I love that. That's therapeutic to me. I actually love journaling as just, I guess, one of those other habits I can do that helps release stuff. Journaling's been really helpful, and Substack is a little more structured, but version of journaling for me. And after being in school for the last almost 15 years, I appreciate being able to write kind of more free form and casual rather than citing every sentence and having to like look things up. I just get to kind of share my thoughts. I love that.